What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. We got a talking hat. Serial killers who accidentally chose the worst targets.
The Cheetah Incident. In 1993, at a club in California, a demon prowled the venue. Unbeknownst to many, the Grim Sleeper, a man who'd ended the lives of 10 women, was searching for his
10 to 100.
while everybody else was drinking and having fun. He noticed an African-American girl that seemed annoyed and upset, so he walked over to her to figure out what was wrong. The lady told him that she was invited out to play dominoes, but everybody there kept offering her drinks and telling her to club when she wasn't a drinker. It was extremely late, and she was tired and wanted to go home, so the Grim Sleeper pointed to his vehicle outside. He told her that he has a car, and if she really wanted to go home that badly, he could just take her. Delighted, the woman sprung out of her seat and followed the dangerous criminal back to his car. She got in first, and he shut her door like a gentleman. Then he got into the driver's seat and began taking her to her house. After a while, she told him to make a right turn to her house, but he ignored her. Confused, she repeated herself. "You're supposed to make a right over there, not a left." Realizing the criminal was no longer responding, the lady quickly went to open the door to get out of the car, but it was then that she finally realized that the door didn't have a handle on the inside. She was literally trapped in the car. Becoming filled with joy...
It didn't have a handle on the inside? Wyatt. On Snapchat. What the fuck? He saved my video! Ah! No! This is his fault, bruh. This is Snapchat.
Finally revealed his intentions to the woman, and as you could probably guess, they were horrible and evil. But there was only one problem with his plan. The woman he was talking to wasn't any ordinary person. The Grim Sleeper had accidentally trapped himself inside a car with a cheetah, also known as the most dangerous woman in the world, a title that would be given to her just 1 year later as she'd go on to win the 1994 kickboxing championship. When she was young,
That's crazy.
she was ruthlessly bullied and chased around the town. Her uncle was a martial arts master, and unknown to the Grim Sleeper, her uncle forced her to fight him every single day in order to get her black belt. At the end of the day, whenever she finished practicing with her colleagues and got ready to leave, her uncle, also known as Master Quiet Storm, would lock the door with a key, and if she wanted to exit the dojo, she'd have to beat him in combat and forcefully pry the keys out of his hands. She did this every single day as a kid. As the criminal asked her to comply with his sick demands, she told him no. As you could guess, this angered the psychopath, so he swung at her with his full might. But immediately she blocked his punch and spun back with a devastating counterpunch, striking him straight in his face. "Oh, so you're a fighting type," he said as he smiled. The woman quickly jumped into the back seat of the van, and he followed after her, which would go on to prove to be his worst mistake. Once he was trapped in the trunk of the van with the professional champion kickboxer, she unleashed a hellish attack on him. He tried to tackle her, but she grabbed his shirt and swung him around in the trunk of the van, smashing his head against the inside of the vehicle. She then flipped his shirt over his head while unloading a flurry of non-stop punches to his face, causing him to fall backwards on his butt. At this point, the girl noticed that his pants were unbuckled and falling down, so while they were still in the trunk, she stomped on his chest and grabbed his, and pulled them so high that she thought she ripped them off of him. The Grim Sleeper... Pain. He quickly gave her the keys to unlock the van and escape. But before she left, while still pulling his royal jewels, she told him, "When I say no, it means no," before delivering a nasty right hook to the crying man, nearly knocking him out. She took the keys, unlocked the trunk of the van, and quickly escaped while throwing the keys away so that he couldn't follow her. Fredia Gibbs would go on to win her first championship after that year, officially titling her as the most dangerous woman alive. And years later, the Grim Sleeper would later be caught and arrested in 2010 because of an eaten pizza crust he left at a crime scene.
When a bitch says no, she means no, and I walked it, BAM! And I left.
The Night Stalker. In the summer of 1985, the city of Los Angeles became gripped by fear. Night after night, a mysterious intruder slipped silently into homes across Southern California. He struck in darkness, often entering through unlocked doors or open windows while families slept, and he did the absolute unthinkable to his targets. If there was a man in the house he broke into, he would immediately just enter, then he would attack and assault the man's family, often carving evil imagery into women and anybody else in the house, and then he would stab them until they perished. The victims described him as a thin, satanic man that had wild eyes and reeked of sweat and cigarettes. Police didn't know his name yet, but the media soon gave him one, the Night Stalker. This individual had 15 victims tied to his name, and by all means was a top priority to officers in the nearby counties. On August 31st, 1985, he casually strolled into a nearby convenience store to pick up a beverage because he was thirsty. And right next to the drink he was grabbing, he noticed a rack of newspapers that all had a wanted poster of his face on it. He immediately panicked and darted out of the doors looking for an individual to target and carjack so that he could leave the area. The criminal jumped into the car of a 28-year-old woman named Angelina. Without wasting a second, he began to punch her in the stomach and forcefully steal her car from her.
GTA!
What the Night Stalker failed to notice is that her neighbor was nearby watching it happen, and he also had large balls. As the neighbor ran over to
Huge balls! I mean fucking animals.
help Angelina, the Night Stalker told him to stay back and warned him that he had a gun. The 50-year-old neighbor called his bluff and ripped the scumbag right out of the car. And it was at this point that this man had realized that he'd chosen the absolute worst neighborhood to do a carjacking in, because he instantly found himself surrounded by a huge, angry mob. Everybody in the neighborhood knew who he was, all of his crimes, and worst of all, they weren't police officers, so their idea of justice wasn't jail, it was death. A crowd of people beat him viciously. Angelina's husband ripped a steel rod out of a metal fence and began smashing his head with it, while another neighbor attacked him with a makeshift spear made out of barbecue equipment.
Bruh.
Multiple people grabbed and tugged at him from different directions, beating him senselessly with anything they could find. It hurt him so bad that when police showed up, he began crying out, "I did it! It's me!" begging them to arrest him. Reports state that once he was arrested, he began speaking Spanish to himself, saying, "Thank goodness the police came and arrested me. I'm so lucky." When he was taken to the police station, a crowd of 500 people surrounded the building chanting, "Kill him," in unison. He would go on to receive 19 death sentences. However, he would pass away from cancer at 53 years old in 2013. Honestly, if I was the cop tasked with arresting him that day, I probably would have just driven around in circles and pretended like I couldn't find him, so that he could spend some more time with the crowd of victims he had been terrorizing for the past year. The crash out incident. Well, most
Crash out.
either don't know or just don't believe it. This man is a serial killer. Allegedly. He grew up in the Parkway Gardens, an area that would later on become named O-Block, which is named after his close friend and mentor, Odie, when he was murdered. A little later, Pontoon, another one of his friends, would pass away in the same way. And, I should probably mention that his father was also murdered when he was a... But he still had a brother-like figure that he kept around as a close friend, White White.
Type in. Yeah. Oh God. I lost my mouse cursor for a second. What? Bro, on Snapchat, just, yeah.
Except, not really, because in 2012, White White would pass away on Vaughn's 18th birthday, right in front of him, at a gas station. It's important to note that it was this specific traumatic incident that caused him to become a serial killer, as after this moment, he would later on be connected to over 10 or 11 murders throughout his life, whilst also taking deep...
King Von! King Von! We call Camille at our school King Von for some fucking reason. I don't know. There was also a raid that was happening on February, and it showed King Von gifts, and it also showed, like...
nearly sociopathic pleasure in the lives he ended and putting it into his songs. Allegedly, of course. Nonetheless, he really did what he rapped about in his music.
Allegedly,
What
please
caused
don't
him
sue
to
me.
develop contempt for another popular up-and-coming artist in his industry, Young Boy. Von took a lot of pride in the crimes he committed, especially
Quandale Dingle, bro. Quandale
since it
Dingle.
was what eventually made him become popular and successful. Youngboy, in a lot of ways, is similar to Von, but Von didn't believe that he actually did any of the things he rapped about. So for him to see another artist getting more virality than him, when he believed he was a fraud, quietly upset him. And so, completely unprovoked, he'd go on to publicly say that Youngboy lies in his music online.
You got cap in your raps.
You got cap in your raps. This would start a pretty petty back and forth between the two young men. Von would begin flirting with the mother of Youngboy's kids. Youngboy would flirt with Von's ex, then they sent disses at each other, and blah blah blah. You get the gist. Despite the clear animosity between the two individuals, Von would go on to say that there was no bad blood between him and Youngboy at all, which would later on prove to be obviously untrue. On November 5th, 2020, he would get up, hop into his bulletproof Hellcat, and head out to a club to perform his show along with 8 other cars that were guarding and following him. At the club, despite everything seeming normal and fun at first, people close to Davon noticed that he seemed off. The man frequently mentioned paranoia and feeling like the spirits of the lives he ended were always watching him. Many people said he could switch from being calm, collected, and silly to seeming very off or sociopathic. A lot of people generally started to believe that he might have had a literal demon living inside of him, or something serious.
That's the gif I saw in the raid. That's the gif that didn't trust me for shit.
Wrong with his head, and it was noted that he was allegedly given inside information that one of Youngboy's friends was at a nearby club that was extremely close to him. This friend's name is Quando Rondo. After he finished performing at his show, he and his entourage got up, went inside of their cars, and headed back home to call it a day. However, suddenly the security guards noticed that Von's car had gone missing. He made a detour to the club that Quando Rondo was at, and waited patiently. His entourage later on showed up and found Von. After regrouping with him, they put all of their weapons away inside of the car and got ready to head inside of the club. But it was at this moment that one of Von's associates located the person he was looking for. As Quando Rondo was leaving the club, Von bumped into him head-on and began to beat him ruthlessly. The man was terrified, later stating that he didn't even know who was fighting him. But once he realized it was Von, it felt like the devil or a demon was attacking him.
It's like I had an out-of-body experience. Like it's like the devil was coming to get me. Like it's like my soul. Like I can't even explain it, man.
Von was doing what he loved, and the man he was attacking was likely going to become another victim that he'd rap about in his songs. But there was just one slight mistake he made. He assumed that his target was alone, and was so laser-focused on attacking his target that he failed to realize that just 2 feet away, a random white car was full of Quando's crew, all of whom were armed. And when they saw their friend being attacked by Von, they didn't hesitate to shoot him 4 times. Even after getting injured, Von continued wrestling and attacking Quando until the two were eventually broken up by their crews. Undercover police officers ran to the scene and began calling backup. The man had 4 holes in his body, and blood was leaking everywhere inside of the car, panicking his team and friends. Nonetheless, he was still alive and conscious. He'd even go on to tell his friends to calm down, because he was fine. While he was successfully delivered to the hospital, during surgery he'd suddenly shoot up awake in cold sweats. He'd throw the nurses and medical staff who were operating on his body off of him, and then began swinging at them.
His mom made it to 2 surgeries. He had 3 surgeries, but he made it to 2 surgeries. And then after the second surgery, he hopped off the bed and started fighting the nurse and said, "Where's his gun at?"
In a state of complete shock and panic, he began searching for his gun on the surgery table, but then froze. And suddenly, as he woke up, he collapsed from shock, marking his end. To think this situation all stemmed from about 5 or 6 words is insane. He's got pretty good music though.
You got cap in your rap.
The spoon incident. A newbie walked into the prison earlier that week, and seeing that he was fresh meat, an atrocious criminal named William Roberts decided it was time to assert some dominance over him, since he seemed like the perfect target. It's unclear exactly what sick intentions William had in mind for the man when he approached him, but what is known is that when the two interacted, the monster began to boast and brag about the most heinous crimes he had committed in an attempt to put fear into the heart of the man
Prison newbie.
and make him yield to his requests. He walked up to the man's seat where he was eating, then he set down his food tray and began eating beside him. "What are you in prison for?" he said, because I'll let you know that I'm practicing eating beside him. What are you in prison for? He said, because I'll let
This is a paraphrased dialogue from the prison's incident
you know
report.
that I'm practically allowed to do anything I want. I'm in prison for having my way with a 4-year-old. And look, I'm still...
Oh. Oh. A 4-year-old, huh? Well, that's crazy,
still
dude.
here. So what about you? Are you here for car theft, insurance fraud, reckless driving? After sitting and listening to William's monologue, the man calmly responded to his questions. I'm a serial killer. I'm in here because I ended a man that was bragging to me about the horrible things he had done to multiple kids. I strangled him so hard that emergency responders said his face became blue like a pair of jeans, because I hate predators. They thought I was crazy, so they sent me to a mental hospital, where I bumped into another person who did the same horrible thing to kids. And so I ended him too. And now, they've sent me to this prison, and just like deja vu, I have another predator telling me the same thing. I just ended the life of another prisoner 2 hours ago. I hid his body under my bed, and I hoped I wouldn't need to do the same thing to another person for a while, but I guess I was wrong. William Roberts just happened
crazy.
to choose the absolute worst person to brag to about his crimes. He was talking to Robert Moore, a serial killer specifically...
Robert Maudsley, a 70-year-old serial killer considered one of the most dangerous men in the UK, has been confined in a glass cage reminiscent of Hannibal Lecter's cell for the past 45 years due to his threat to other inmates. UK Mirror reported, despite already being in prison for murder, Maudsley went on to brutally kill 3 more prisoners while behind bars.
known for only targeting predators.
A British serial killer who targeted child molesters and rapers, Robert Maudsley had spent over 50 years in prison for his murders, most of which he committed behind bars.
And in the blink of an eye, Maudsley grabbed the spoon off of his food tray and jammed it into William's face. He screamed horrifically, but Maudsley didn't stop there. He ruthlessly beat and continued to carve away at the man's face with his spoon. He stabbed him over and over again, and somehow nobody in the prison noticed what was happening at all. William screamed and pleaded for help until he couldn't anymore. After Maudsley was finished, he calmly walked over to a prison guard and told them that 2 prisoners would be missing from the roll call today. Extremely concerned with that ominous statement, the guards ran into Maudsley's prison cell and found the body of William and another prisoner. William's face was unrecognizable, but most horrifying...
There's no face. There's no face. There's actually no face. It's fucking just nerves.
William and another prisoner. William's face was unrecognizable, but most horrifyingly of all, his brains were carved out of his skull with a spoon sticking out of it.
Ooh! Ooh! Bro just scooped out the brain and just started eating it? Like the fuck?
The prison guards immediately believed that Maudsley must have cannibalized the man's brains, but he calmly denied the accusation and said something around the lines of, "No, I wouldn't do that, nor would I lie about it." The man would later on be placed inside of a glass box where he would go on to spend the rest of his life in solitary confinement. Most people in life are amazing to be around, but every once in a while there is a chance that you could bump into a psychopath, so always take precautions and always be prepared so that you too don't end up as a victim. Have a happy day.
So little. They're so fucking little. Alright. Thank you guys so much for watching.